So I'll kick it off this morning. I'm just going to screen share my account here, which is that one. Three screens, never remember which one it is. So we're in my test account here. You can see that this is not exactly brilliantly filled out. I have some dummy data in here for some various IT equipment that I'm tracking in this account. If I click on one of the records, you'll be able to see, of course, all of the fields within the record itself. And we have fields in here such as next service date. You can see this is color coded. Warranty expiration, I don't have my warranty expiration filled out. And then I have a number of other date fields in here, as well as some other color coded fields as well. If I want to look at setting up notifications for something, I always enjoy doing this on accounts. It's my favorite bit of building them out. I've got to be honest. It's very sad, but it's true. I really like being able to be proactive in regards to managing things rather than reactive, so you're never scrambling. So I really love in Asset Panda that we have this capability to set up notifications so you know about things before they happen. We not only have the color coding here to let me know that these things are coming up to you for service, I can also set up notifications to make sure specific people within my organization know when these dates and things are upcoming. So in order to access notifications, we have everything listed in one spot for you to make it easy. If you come to the cogwheel, you'll see there's a whole section here for notifications. If you click on that, that will take you to all the notifications you have set up in your account. Now, I have a limited number here, and I have one that I'm going to set up during the course of today, and that's to do with my warranty expiration field. But we have notifications that can work on different levels. So one is at an action level. So when you run an action within the system, you can immediately be notified that this thing has happened. So I have notifications set up here on my dispose action. So I get notified as soon as things are disposed of. And I also have things set up here on my mark as damaged action. So again, as soon as something is marked as being damaged in my system, I know about it. Now, we can set up notifications to go to lots of different places, but when we're talking about action notifications, typically we'd want to see these come specifically to system admins. So if I want to open up one of these, let's open up the dispose one here. This open piece here tells me that this is an action notification, and I actually want to be notified when this action is run. That's what that open piece means. When I've opened up the pop-up box, filled out all of the fields to start the action, and then saved them, that is the point that this notification will trigger. This is set up to not combine group actions into one notification. This is another option you have. If I'm running a mass disposal of lots of things within my system, I'm not going to want to get 50 separate emails telling me I've disposed of 50 things. If I am in that scenario, I'm going to change this to a yes so that I get one notification email for all the things that I've disposed. But typically, I'd want to know one at a time so I can look at each case on a case-to-case basis. This notification is set up to come to specific users, and I've set it up to not only flag in the notification panel up here, but also send me an email and to make sure that I also get a notification on my mobile app as well. This is what my email is going to say. If I want to, I can put in specific text in here that's also going to follow through. I don't want to do that for this particular one. Instead, what I want to do is I want to pull, first of all, the data from the action to dispose of things first. There are no fields showing here because they're already over here on the right. So what I've done is I've pulled all of the fields from that action. So every time anyone runs this action, I know who's done it, when they've done it, the condition of the item, the reason they've done it, and any notes. All of those are fields that I'm picking up from the action itself. Then I want some additional information from the actual assets group itself and the fields within the record. So for those, I've chosen to receive the asset ID, category description, and so on. This means that when I receive my email to tell me that this action has been run, I'm going to have all of this data in these blue selector boxes on the right contained within that email. So if I'm not in Asset Panda, I can look at all of this and make a really informed decision. Do I need to log in and look at this further? Or does this look like it's something that should have happened and I'm good with it? I'm also going to get a notification within the system itself, and I'll show you that in a second. If I want to edit any of these pieces, it's super easy to do. You just use the dark blue arrows if you want that field to populate over here at the bottom. Then you can move it to wherever you want it to be, and you can take it out with the dark blue X and it will repopulate back over to the left. So that's an action notification. Let's have a look at that in process. So if I decide that I want to select this item here, I'm going to come up here and run my action. Oh, I can't run it to dispose. I apologize. I haven't got my dispose action turned on. What have I got that I can do? I'm going to mark it as damaged instead. So I'm going to say that this is now damaged. I'm going to sign to say that it's me that has run this. Where have I sent it to? I've sent it to the repair center, and then here are the details of the damage, and I can upload an attachment as well if I wish to. If I save that, once the screen refreshes, we'll see that I've now got a notification within the system. I also will have received an email. If I click on the notifications you get within the system are a lot more minimal than the ones you get in email because you're already here. So if I want to investigate this, all I need to do is click on the asset record and all of the details are here. And I can look at the action history here to see who's logged it and what they've logged. If I had added an attachment, there'd be a link to it here that I could click on to look at that as well. So that's an action notification, but we have different types as well. We also have numeric notifications that we can run. This is really useful if you have an inventory or consumables group and you start to run out of things. So if I have a quick look at this one, this is set up for a numeric value. Again, it's coming to me. This is what my email is going to tell me. And this is going to trigger, this is the conditions here. This is going to trigger when the value in my quantity on hand field is either less than or equal to the number I've specified for a quantity minimum for that particular item. So this is a really flexible notification type because if it's set up like this, if I have different minimum quantities set up for different items, it's going to refer specifically to the minimum quantity for that line item, not as a general, every time you hit 10 for anything in your stock inventory, then it's going to trigger. And again, the color coding here can help with that as well. So if I decided that I wanted to remove 5 of these wireless keyboards, or I'm actually already below the minimum. I've set this up incorrectly just to show somebody previously on a training, I apologize. But if I was hitting the minimum, it would again trigger the notification for me to let me know that I was running out of something. So those are fairly straightforward. Numeric ones can also be used for things like mileage fields on fleets. They're useful for that as well. The most complicated kind of notifications that we have to do with date fields, and those can be set up and run in lots of different ways. So I'm going to set up this one here because it's not currently set up. So I'm going to turn it on and hit edit. So this now is going to be a notification that tells me about warranties that are due to expire. It's going to be triggered by a date, and it's going to look at the date that is in the warranty expiration date field. So based on that pivoting point, this notification will or won't trigger. If I want to set this up to specific people, like the person who currently has custody of the item, I'm able to do that here by choosing the current employee, and they can get this information. If I want to send it externally, I can. I would just put in whatever external email address I want. But more typically, I want to send this to the system admin, so that's going to be me. If I want to add specific details in here, I can. And I can also then hyperlink to specific field values within the asset record itself. But this is set up, this is very confusing the way that this is worded to my brain. This asks if I want to create a schedule of notifications, and it says no, and then there's something that looks suspiciously like a schedule. What this actually means is, do I want to, at 9 a.m. every Tuesday or daily, get a series of notifications that tell me all about the items that have a warranty expiration date within the field? And I don't really want to do that. I can set limitations around that to see what's upcoming on a set schedule. But instead of that, what I think is more useful for this particular one is to, at 9 a.m. every day, at 9 a.m. every time, get an email from the system that tells me 30 days before the date that's in the field that the warranty is going to expire in 30 days, to repeat that at 7 days before, and then let me know 1 day after that the warranty is actually expired. This allows me the flexibility to change the subject line of my emails and to pivot this based on the date that's in the field. This means that if at 30 days out I actually renew my warranty, I'm not going to get these bottom 2 notifications because the date will have been updated and it will no longer be 7 days before or 1 day after, because that date will have been extended and pushed out. The selector fields down here are exactly the same. You can pull over the data you want and get rid of the data you don't want. If I save this, then this notification will then appear within the list when I come back to the main notifications page, and I can see that it's turned on and active, and I've just set it all up. If I want to delete things, I can do that easily here. And if I want to turn notifications on and off, for example, if I am running a mass disposal and I don't want these notifications to run for a couple of hours while I'm doing it, I can just turn them off here and they will no longer trigger. Just be aware that if you do turn notifications off here, you're only turning off the one notification that you select, and that you will need to turn it back on. It won't automatically come back on after a period of time. And if anyone else is running the same action, for example, during that period, you're not going to receive those notifications. So that's all that I had to show you in a nutshell. Have we got any questions around any of that?
Yeah, it looks like we do have one question I can definitely take here. It looks like Bob is asking specifically for the quantity type notification. It looks like we're tracking inventory. So, we have 200 in stock. You want to be notified when you get to five. So we can definitely dig into that a little bit more. So if you don't mind, I can go ahead and share out on my end and kind of take you through that one specifically. So let me get my screen sorted here. All right, so with this particular notification, there are a few things you want to make sure you set up first. You should be seeing my inventory group here. It's a little bare, but we have our one test inventory item. So for that particular quantity-based notification, when I want to know when I hit that quantity minimum, we're going to want to make sure in our inventory group that we have a quantity minimum filled. We have that populated. So in your case, with that, five unassigned. And then we're also are tracking the quantity on hand. So of course, with inventory tracking, the quantity on hand is kind of the main thing we're worried about. We always want to make sure that quantity on hand is accurate. So we have those two fields set up. They're populated. As far as setting up that notification, so with setting up notifications, there are a couple of different ways we can do that. We've kind of been over in our settings, hanging out on our notifications page. You could definitely go there, create a notification. How I personally prefer to create notifications is on the specific field of information I want to know about. So maybe this is a numeric field, maybe it's a date field, maybe it's an action. I like to go to that particular thing to create the notification. So I'm going to go ahead and get into my group settings here, and then I'm going to go and edit open my inventory group. So once I edit that open, I can see all of my fields of data. So with this one, actually, your first instinct might be, hey, I want to know about my quantity minimum when I hit that value. So you might think, hey, I want to create it on my quantity minimum field. But actually, we're going to create this notification on the quantity on hand. So if I go to my field, I'm going to go find my quantity on hand. And if we go over to the right, we can see actually for all of our fields of data, we have a notifications option. So if you have ever gone into your group settings, made any customizations or adjustments there, you're going to see this notification option on almost everything. Anything that does have this notifications option here is the spot where you could potentially create a notification. So we're going to have it for all of our fields of data here. If we look up at the top right-hand corner, we can create it for the entire group. If we want to know when things are added or deleted or edited in our group, we're going to have that on our actions. We're going to have that in a ton of places. But I'm going to go ahead to my quantity on hand. I'm going to click on my notifications. And I actually have one already set up here, but we'll kind of go through setting up one together. But I'm going to come in here, click that new notification in the top right-hand corner. So we've already kind of looked at a lot of this already as far as the, mechanics, the background of the notification. For this one specifically, there are a couple of things I want to highlight that are going to be a little bit different. To start, we have the name of the notification. We want to make sure it's active so that's sending out. The send on, we touched on this, but for this one particularly, I'm going to click into that. And so since my notification is created on a numeric field, I have the option to send it on a numeric value. So that's going to be what we want to do here. Of course, we have a couple of different options. Like we could send a notification if the field changes, if it's updated, if it's completely, blank, maybe someone cleared out the value. This one, I'm going to set it to numeric. So when I do change that send on to numeric, it's going to give us a couple of different options that are going to be handy in a second. But kind of going through some of the other info here. Some other things we talked about kind of in the notification type, that's where you can select who is going to receive this notification, whether it's a specific Asset Panda user. If we're pulling an email, maybe from our employees group, an email that's logged somewhere within our account. Or if we want to send it, to an external email, that's what I occasionally see with inventory. Maybe we want to send it, to someone in purchasing. Maybe they don't have access to Asset Panda. We can just come in here, type in the email address directly. We have our other bits as far as the body of our email, if we want to put any additional instructions, those type of things. But the big piece here is kind of down towards the bottom. So since this is a notification based on a numeric field, we're going to have our option here, and I think we actually looked at this briefly already, but we can say, so in our quantity on hand field, I want to send a notification when the value is, and it's going to give us some different options. So we can say less than or equal. So I'm actually going to make this less than or equal, but you can see a couple different ways we can set this up. But I'm going to say less than or equal. And then the next one, it's actually going to give me all the other numeric fields in my group. So right now it's just that quantity minimum field, but if for some reason we had other values, they would also be displayed here. But I'm going to say I want to send this notification when the value in my quantity on hand field is less than or equal to the value I have set up in my quantity minimum. So in your example you sent, it would be, hey, when my quantity on hand gets to 5 or less, which is the value of my quantity minimum, notify me here. With this one, we do have the ability to enable a scheduler if we click that to yes. So basically, once the quantity on hand hits that minimum threshold, it can keep sending you reminders. You can set them up every day, weekly, until someone goes in there and then, adds to our quantity, and then we update that value. And then to round us off, again, we have that information from our inventory group if we want to know about some of the things we're updating, some of the information, the vendor, we can include that, just moving it over to our right-hand column. So just to round us off, I'm gonna just set it up to send to myself. We're just gonna do a quick test one here. And I'm gonna make sure, yep, it's active. And we'll name it quantity minimum, just throwing some quick things in here. And then we'll save and close that. So now I have our new notification created. I know it's turned on. We have that active box checked. And to kind of show you what then the notification looks like, I may go back to my inventory group. And then for my one test inventory item here, so I have the quantity on hand set to 3, the quantity minimum set to 2. So as of now, the values are not going to trigger my notification. But let's say I go remove some of my inventory. I'll take 2 out. It's going to do our quick math for us. So now my quantity on hand is at 1. So that should have triggered off my notification. A couple of handy things with notifications is that over here on the left-hand column, we do have this notification history tab. This is going to be really handy and going to show you kind of the full log of any notifications that have ever been triggered for this particular record. So first line here, I can easily see, yep, it sent out my notification I just created. It'll show who it was sent to, kind of where it was sent, email, the notification panel, the name. So this is a really good place where you can check just to make sure that your notification is sending properly. It's going where it's supposed to. So we have the notification history. So I set it to send as an email, also as a notification here in the panel. So if I go click on that, it's going to be my first one listed there. Oh, and it didn't like that. Okay. But I think we looked at that a bit earlier. It would show you the notification, some of the basic information there. So that's a quick rundown of that particular notification. So again, couple of pointers as far as how I like to set up notifications. I like going to that particular field, whatever is going to be triggered, whatever we're updating, going in there, creating the notification directly on that. And then keep in mind, depending on what the value of that field, what's happening in that action, you might have some different options as far as, the send on, and as far as, the value, the date, some of those options as well. All right, so we got that one answered.
And it looks like we have a second question David is asking, can you show how to do notifications of all warranties expiring next month and have it sent on the 15th of the month prior?
Yeah, good question. I don't know. I can take this one unless.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. There's me chatting away to myself. Yeah, that's probably better as a report, right,
Mhm.
Abby? Because I'm just
No,
looking at
yeah.
the scheduling options and we can't do it for a date.
Yeah, no, so that's exactly what I was going to recommend. So notifications are really good for kind of like a one-to-one, say, let me know when this one asset, the warranty is expiring, shoot me a notification, an email to let me know. For kind of these, more comprehensive, saying, hey, everything that's expiring in the next month, the next week, I would actually recommend creating a report, and oftentimes reports and notifications kind of go hand in hand. Notifications are good for kind of like those spot checkings for that immediate, let me know exactly when something is updated. Reports are really good for kind of like a culmination. Say, hey, give me like a summary of everything that's updating within a certain time frame. So with reports, we can definitely go through reports. I would actually recommend kind of utilizing both notifications and reports within your account to kind of get that like holistic view. So with our reports, where I went here, I have reports listed in my submenu, but you can always find it within your tools as well. And in Asset Panda, we do have a couple of different types of reports you can run. This one in particular, wanting to know those warranty expiration dates is going to fall under our group reports. Group reports are really good for, basically any of the information in your group. So any of those date fields, statuses, by location, by who it's assigned to. So a bit more of those kind of like general reports for the group as a whole. The second most commonly used type of report is going to be our action reports. So these are reports we run over those individual actions we're performing. So really good for like historical, or if you want to see, everything checked out, everything that's been disposed. Action reports are good for that. So with our group reports here, so kind of already have one set up, but we're gonna again create one from scratch. So I'm gonna go to the top right hand corner, hit that add new group report. So first thing with our report here, we're gonna name it. So we're gonna do upcoming warranty expirations, and we'll do 30 days. All right, so with reports, you can select the output of the file that is generated when we run the report. PDF will give you the most formatting options. Most people do kind of prefer CSV or Excel. So I'm gonna go ahead and change it to Excel there. Big thing is selecting the group we're running the report for. This one's gonna be for our assets group, but we are gonna have all of our groups listed here. We're going to have some other options. If you have depreciation turned on, you can do some things with depreciable objects. If we want to run a report over archived assets, we can do that. I'm going to go ahead and kind of leave those in their defaults. And then next up, we have our filter. So filtering is going to be really handy. It's going to be one of the most utilized things when you are creating your reports. So with our filter, if we click onto that, we can filter by any of the fields within our assets group. So for this one, if we want to see upcoming warranty expirations in the next 30 days, we're actually going to filter down our report by our warranty expiration date. So I'm going to hope I have that in here, and I do. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to say my warranty expiration. So with filters, you're going to have a couple of different options. Particularly with date filters, it is going to include a bit of word math. My brain doesn't particularly like the word math, so if you don't get the first correct date range on your first try, you might just need to swap out some of the things in your filter. But we're going to say our warranty expiration date. We have quite a few different options. So we have is on or before, is on or between, is on or after. So I believe, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here, we're gonna do is on or after. And then for a specific date, we're actually gonna change this to value of. And what I'm gonna do here is say the run date, so whenever I generate this report, and I'm gonna say, or maybe I got this mixed up. It might be is on
No,
or
I think you've nailed it. I
okay,
think you've nailed
okay.
it.
Thank you, thank you. Is on or after going forward, and then we would do 1 month.
Perfect. I
Again,
think that's
yeah,
right. Although I never understand the word mapping either. It doesn't work very well
exactly.
in my brain, but I'm fairly
Yeah.
certain that's right.
And if this doesn't pull correctly, you would just kind of flip-flop them around. We might do is on or before, going backwards. Again, our apologies for for
I
that.
would I'm going to jump in here and say I set it up with is sometimes the same way and always have to redo it. I'm going to be honest with you. Like I always have to redo these more than once because just to make sure you filter it down correctly. So to Abby's point, folks, people who are listening in the room, number one, there's always more than one way to solve a problem in Asset Panda. So depending on what you're really trying to pull here, you may have to play with these filters. And as you're hearing all three of us, we always play with these filters. So if you do run into issues and you can't pull what you need, you can always contact support, and they'll help you navigate it as well. Sorry, Abby, I just wanted to jump in there with that
No,
one because
definitely.
I think we all have to play with these a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And it is going to be a bit more with the date filters. A lot of the other filters are going to be a lot more straightforward. Some common ones, you might want to know just like your laptops with upcoming warranties. Then we could filter by the category of asset. Maybe you just want for a particular location, you would filter by the current location. But filters in general are going to be the main way you're kind of drilling down what information appears on your report. And then to round us off, we have our column here again. It should look a little bit familiar. It's gonna work exactly how it worked in our notification. We're gonna have all of the fields from our assets group. We're gonna move them over to the right-hand side. Gonna include some of that warranty info. I'll throw in my status. There we go. And then once it's over on the right-hand column, it's going to be a column header on the report that's generated. So we have everything in our assets group. If we keep on scrolling, we can also include fields of information from our linked groups. So, the category of the asset, I have it, where I can put assets on vehicles, locations, employees. And then last up, we can also group the information here, and it's just going to group it on the generated report. So if I wanted to, group it maybe by like the asset category, it's going to say, the laptops, the warranty expiration dates, all of my desktops, all of the assets with a warranty expiration date. So it's just a way to group the information on your report. So once we have it set up, I'm going to go ahead and save that. I honestly cannot recall if I have any warranty expiration dates inputted. So I don't know if we're actually going to get anything on this report. But a couple of things with the report, you can always do a quick preview. You may or may not get a preview. Oh, so I got a couple, and I can see I did my date filter wrong because I'm pulling very old dates here. But depending on the size of your report, you may or may not be able to pull a quick preview. Another handy thing is you can also duplicate any of your reports. This is really handy if you have maybe like location-based reporting where it's basically all the same report, but maybe we have a filter for one specific location. We can duplicate the first report, maybe swap out the filter on the second report. So that can save you quite a bit of time if you have multiple reports that are basically pulling the same information, but maybe just a slight variation in the filter. All right, so once we have a report created, filtering, pulling the information we'd like to see, kind of the final step here that's going to make life really easy is that we can go to our report and that we can automate our report. So any of our reports can be automated, so set up on a schedule to be automatically ran, sent directly to an email address. So to do that, we're going to go to the right-hand side, click on that automated report. It'll show us if we have any automations created for this one. We don't. So I'll click on the new automated report, top right-hand corner, and then we're going to fill out our automation. So we're going to input the notification description. That's going to be the subject line of the email you receive. For the email addresses, you'll just type them into this box here. You can send it to as many people as you would like. And then we're going to set up our recurrence. So for that specific example, have it set to send on the 15th of the prior month or of the current month. But that's where you would go in. You would set it to maybe monthly. We can set the hour of the day. So if we want it, first thing 8 a.m., I can say recur every 1 month, and I can set it to run on the 15th. So that's going to have it generated on the 15th of every month. And then if we needed to go and adjust the date filters on the report to pull a specific time frame of data, that's where we would go and do that. All right.
Beautiful. If I can just quickly screen share, I've set up an approximation, which is the closest that I can figure off the top of my head that you can get with notifications. But what Abby just showed you is definitely going to hit that specific need a little more exactly. You can set up something similar in notifications. I've just been twiddling while we were talking. And this is my warranties in the next 30 days. So this is set to schedule, but this is the only option I have here with monthly. I don't have a date. So I'm going to send this on the second Monday of every month. And I'm going to send it to fill the warranty. Oh no, this has changed back. Sorry. The warranty is on or after the value of the run date going forward for, where's it gone? 1 month. The spacing on this is odd. There we go. So that now should send me a notification on the second Monday of every month that the warranty expiration dates that are upcoming for that date going forward 1 month, all of the ones that flag with all of this information. But like I say, the report that Abby showed you is going to much more specifically meet that need if you need it sent on a specific date.
Awesome. I sometimes like the in between, excuse me, in between as well for some of these. So again, it just comes back to playing with those filters depending on what it is that you're trying to pull, how your data is set up, what type of data you're trying to pull. There's a lot of factors involved in which of those options that you would select. But all really good examples, folks. Thank you.
I do have one more piece to just talk about on notifications.
Yeah, go
this
for
is
it.
something that I do like doing a lot. I know Abby showed you how to get to the fields to set up the specific pieces of notifications that you want. Another way you can do that is also through the action. So you can do it through the field that's here for editing, whatever you want to do, but you can also do it through the actions themselves. So I've set up a loan to employee action here, and I'm going to jump in behind the scenes and edit it. And within this particular action, the important piece that I want notifications linked to here is the date that I want things to come back on. So once I've filled out this date in my action, when I want things to come back, I'm going to set up a notification specifically on this field as it's filled out in this action. So this is only going to relate to the expected return dates that are filled out for employee loans. So we can get really specific with this because this expected return date field is also leveraged in my repairs action workflow where I want to know when things are due back for repair, but I can specify this as only to do with when I'm setting up my loans. So if I set up a new notification on this field, I want this to be a date notification. And I'm going to say your loaned asset is due back, or your loaned item. And I'm going to send this to the person that's loaned it. So I'm going to send this to the person that I'm loaning the item to. So whoever I decide to loan it to is going to get this. Then I can put in my different recurrences saying that your item is due back with however many days before the date I want it to be and add in new recurrences for when it's overdue. I can limit this to only apply to things that are in the status of actually being loaned out to an employee. And then I'll pull over the data fields that I want. Once I've done that, if I also want to send things to my, whoopsie-daisy. If I also want to send things to my system admin so that they know that this is due as well, then I can send a copy of this to the admins. And the way to do that and save yourself a lot of work is with this duplicate button here. So if I duplicate this notification, I'm going to be working in a copy of it. Now this, I want to go to my admin. So this isn't going to be called your loaned item is due back. It's going to be called the item due back from an employee loan. So now I'm setting up exactly the same notification on exactly the same schedule, but I'm changing who it goes to be the system admin. Now, I'll need to make sure that I also change the subject to my emails, otherwise that's going to be confusing for the people actually receiving them. But I'll want the same information here in terms of the limitation of the status of the item. But I may want to add more information in here, maybe information I don't want the employee to see. So I can make a limited notification for the employee that just tells them details from the actual checkout action, and a different one for the admins to let them know more about the item, even though it will save potentially, send on the same schedule. So now I can see these two notifications are set up to go to different people on exactly the same field, which I've gotten to specifically from within my action. So I know that it's only relating to any loans with the expected date that I've filled that out for. Hopefully that makes sense outside of my brain.